Let's jump into it. Today, we're going to be talking about the two types of self-esteem. First, we're going to start with contingent self-esteem. Contingent self-esteem is self-esteem based on the approval of others or through social comparison. We'll start with the first example, approval of others. So let's say you write an exam, you do really well in this exam, and your parent says, "Hey, good job. You worked really hard on this exam. I see that you got a good grade. You did really great. Really, really proud of you." That raises our self-esteem along with the grade that we got. Now, same example. Your parent comes to you, you still got a good grade, and they say to you, "Well, I wish you would have gotten a higher mark. 80% isn't great. I wish you would have gotten 85. Well, now your self-esteem is going to take a hit because of the comment that your parent has made. And it doesn't feel good. So our self-esteem then fluctuates depending on the validation of others. If we're looking at the example of social comparison, we can use another example. So let's say your parent comes to you and says, "I heard about so-and-so's daughter. They don't do all the things that you do. You take time to connect with me. I really appreciate that." Well, that validates our self-esteem. That makes us feel good. Same example. Parent comes to you and says, "Hey, I heard about so-and-so's daughter. They do X, Y, and Z. They're so connected to their parent." And you hear that, and your self-esteem takes a hit because the implied conversation is you're not doing enough. Do you see what the differences are? Contingent self-esteem is fluid. It can go up and down based on what people are saying to us or us even comparing ourselves to others. Another example. I'm divorced. So I can look at my friends who are not divorced and think, how come they have their marriage together? How come they didn't go through the experiences that I went through? What is wrong with me? When we do internal social comparison, we can start knocking our own self-esteem. Self-worth is the internal sense of feeling worthy enough to be loved by others and a felt sense of belonging. What contingent self-esteem does is that it disrupts our feelings of self-worth for ourselves because we are basing our self-esteem on what other people are saying or how we compare ourselves to others. Before we move into what authentic self-esteem is, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Cassandra Mullick. My mission is to help women in their 30s and 40s regain control of the mental chaos that we feel every day and move towards clarity. So welcome. If you enjoy this type of content, please subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit that like button so that this information can be shared with others who are facing the same difficulties. Now let's move on to authentic self-esteem. Authentic self-esteem is when we are comfortable with who we are, our values, our beliefs, and we have a secure sense of self-worth. Now remember, earlier we defined self-worth as the internal sense of feeling worthy of being loved and a felt sense of belonging. So when we have high self-worth, we will have authentic self-esteem. Authentic self-esteem is when our values, actions, and ideals align. We know ourselves. We understand our capabilities, and we aren't reliant on others' opinions or are impacted by social comparison. So let's look at the above examples with a lens of authentic self-esteem. First example, we get a good grade on our test. Parent comes in and says, "Hey, you got a good grade." And I say, "Yeah, I did get a good grade. I worked really hard to get this grade, and I'm proud of the grade that I've gotten." Though the validation is nice from the parent, it doesn't necessarily add to the satisfaction I already feel, because I know with my skills and capability, I made that grade happen. Second example, parent comes to you and says, "Oh, I wish you would have gotten a better mark." Well, though they feel that way, I internally know that I am responsible for how I handle my feelings and my thoughts, because I have authentic self-esteem and a high level of self-worth. So though they have made a negative comment about my performance, I'm not going to let that take away from the satisfaction I feel from getting that 80%. My self-esteem and my self-worth are not based on this person's approval. Third example, the comparison piece of so-and-so's daughter does better and is more impactful than you are. Well, when I look at it from a lens of authentic self-esteem, I recognize that I have different priorities. I may have different time constraints, or maybe I have different boundaries than the other person has. So, though the impact of the statement is hurtful, I recognize that my life circumstances and my dynamics within my family or with my parent are different than the dynamics of that individual with their parent. I'm not going to personalize, and I can radically accept that I have different circumstances than that other person. When I'm able to do this, my self-esteem is not impacted by the comment of this individual or by the comparison of this person to myself. Fourth example, me being divorced. Internally, I might think, if I have contingent self-esteem, as mentioned above, oh, I wish I had that. From an authentic self-esteem lens, I'm going to view that as I'm excited and happy for my friends who have healthy marriages, and I'm going to work on myself and work towards finding a healthy relationship. My friends being in those healthy relationships does not impact my ability to be in one, because I know my skills, my values, my morals, and I have a deeper sense of self-worth, meaning that I feel worthy of attaining love and finding belonging among my friends and peers. My marital status or relationship status does not impact my self-worth, because I have done the work and have an understanding that I am worthy. Do you see what the differences are? When we have authentic self-esteem, we have a higher sense of self-worth, which makes us resilient to the difficulties and the changes and the transitions that come our way. Authentic self-esteem helps us to stay stable, whereas contingent self-esteem allows us to be at the mercy of other people's validation or social comparison. So you may be asking, how do I foster authentic self-esteem? In the next video, I'm going to teach you how.